Okay, so this is just going to be an introduction to the chess and wrecking ball project, and I'm going to go through this in real time in Blender of how you might like to approach this. You could actually start with the cube. To be honest, first thing we're going to do is change one into our color. I'm going to be boring and just go black and white. So this first one is going to be black. I can't see if it's black or white yet, but I'm in the wrong mode. But it is black. I'm going to look from directly above by pressing 7, duplicate, and move in this direction. So it's just what's called flush right next to it. Okay, so one's there, one's there. But this one I'm going to change to white. Now, if they change at different times, it's quite easy to get rid of that. You just take that one off and then give it a new skin. There we go. One white, one black. Now, directly above, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to join these two, Control J, or Command J if you're on an Apple, and then I'm going to duplicate these two together, GY, just to move it very neatly in that dimension, and then join these ones, and then do that one more time, duplicate GY, and there we go. We've got a line, Control J, and that should be one solid object. Okay, now that's one side of the chessboard, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go duplicate again. Oh, actually, one thing that you can do, just looking from above, you see how this has got a center of mass right there. That's not really where we want it to be, so we're going to go Object, Set Origin, Geometry. There we go. That just moves the space to the center, which is what I wanted. We'll have to do that again when we're making the chains. And I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to go GX, sorry. Move it to the side very neatly. Now, obviously, white next to white, black next to black, that doesn't look like a chessboard. But because we start on black and we end on white, it's an even amount of squares, which is 8. We need to go R180, and it's a checkerboard. I'm just rotating it. Cool, join these two together, duplicate these guys, move this to the side, join those again, duplicate one last time, and we got ourselves a chess board. There we go. Now that's what I'm going to build everything onto. So that's my object. I could name this chess board. And now I'm going to make my characters. So I'm going to start off with the pawn. I'm going to make sure it's the right size straight away. Make sure it doesn't take up too much of the room on there. Perfect. Move it to the side and make it my center. Okay, now this is how we're going to make our chess pieces. We're going to go to Edit mode and go to Line. When we select the line, we're going to go Control R or Command R until we get this ring of influence. I'm going to click, decide where I want it, and change the size with S. Do this a bunch of times until it looks kind of fancy. Up to you how fancy you make them. I'm not going to go anything overboard. Just change it a bit. Just so it's a little bit more interesting than... Ooh. There we go, that'll do. And go back out of edit mode and into object mode. Look at it slide on by pressing 3. And I think I'll make a UV sphere. I'll pop that on top and make it a bit smaller. Make sure it's directly above by pressing 7. And squish it down. Okay, let's have a look. Does that look nice and neat? Looks pretty good. And then I'm going to join them. Now that is Control J. So that is going to be my pawn. Okay, so we're going to make a few more. We only need to make 6 shapes though, so that's a good start. So we're going to make a few more little characters here. So I'm going to actually duplicate this guy. And I'm going to, in edit mode, go P to separate by loose parts. And I'm actually going to make, in object mode, the this bit a little bit longer, so I'm going to go SZ. I'm going to make another little blob on top, but this one's going to be very small. And this I'm going to make a little bit larger and a little bit longer, SZ. There we go. You can probably guess who I'm designing. It's the bishop. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a different little trick, which is using Boolean. I'm going to go SZ until I make some little pizza box. Yep, that was good. Just checking, and just going to grab it and put it at a nice little angle into the bishop. Cool, there we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to join all these bits together by pressing Shift and Control J. That's one bit. And then in the modifiers, I'm going to go Add Modifier, Boolean. So I'm selecting this thing I'm cutting, and then I select the thing I'm going to remove, which is this little object here. That's disappeared, but never mind. Let's just see what happens. And then I'm going to get rid of that, and I've got a little cutout. Now, it also got rid of that little blob there, which seems to be a little bit of a bug with the system, but I can fix that very easily by making another one. So it's not a big issue. There we go, and then join it all together. And we've got a bishop. Now we need 4 bishops. And okay, let's make something else. Sorry to be boring, but I'm just going to duplicate this again. I'm going to make it bigger. And in edit mode, I'm going to press P, separate by loose parts. Oh, yeah. Separate by loose parts. And then in object mode, that ball, that sphere is separated. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another cylinder. I'm going to pop it on top. Make sure it's a little bit smaller. Move it down. Maybe it's still a little bit smaller. There we go. Perfect. And I'm going to do the same thing I did when I started it off. So I'm going to go Control R. I'm going to go this right to the top. And put a little ring of influence there. Now, it doesn't look like I've done anything yet. But I am. Because then I'm going to go to face. Choose the face and make this small. You can probably guess what I'm kind of doing. And then I'm going to go D, Z. I'm going to go move down. See, I'm kind of dragging it down. I'm only going to do it a little bit, and then I'm going to do it again. T, Z. Or S. T, Z. Is that going to work? No, I think I've got to make another ring. Yeah. And then C. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's what I wanted to do. And then back to faces. And then I'm going to move this down. Did I do that neatly enough? No, I didn't. There we go. Cool. Now I'm going to make the rook now. So what I'm going to do, looking above, I'm going to, this is going to use shift. So I'm going to go shift, 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 shift. I'm using every alternative or every other space. And then I'm just going to go E to extend and Z for the direction. Cool. I might just want to drag it out a little bit. There we go. And there's my... Oh, no. There we go. That's fine. Oh, it's a little bit wonky. There we go. There's my my rook. Cool. All right, I'm going to go back into object mode. Join those bits. I'm going to duplicate this guy another time. I'm going to make it even bigger. I'm just going to check that it's not too big for a second. Yeah, well. Whoa. A little bit too big. Then I'm upside down. I want it to be... Actually, I might keep this guy the same size and this one bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this into a queen. So I'm going to increase the size of this and embed it on the top of the castle. There we go. And what could I do? You could be a little bit more creative with the queen. Let's think. I know. In edit mode, I'm going to select these little bits. I'm going to make a crown. very much the same sort of thing, but it's got a kind of a pommel crown thing going on. Little play on E, up it goes. Yes. There we go. That looks queen-like. A little bit boring, but oh, I know what I could do. I can add some other elements to it. Just by making this change a couple of times just to make it look fancy. Just so it looks a bit different. And that'll do. Cool, so there's my queen. And I might take that same concept again, make it just a tiny bit bigger for a king, and then what I'm going to do in edit mode is I'm just going to select some of these things in X-ray mode. Get rid of that. Oh, I looked at it very much. If I look at it with that mode, there we go. And for the king, I don't know. I guess I'll add a cone. Make sure it's above. Pop it right down there. Place it on top. And I think what I might do is add just a cross, which is quite an old-fashioned sort of way to denote the king. SZ. Duplicate this. 90. There we go, there's a cross. And then join those guys, make it real small, and just pop that on top. There we go. And there's my thing. Cool. Cool, and the cone. Cool. So that leaves just one shape to go, and I think you all know what it is. It is the knight. So you need to make it look like a horse. It's going to be, we want it to be bigger than a pawn because it's an important piece. About as big as a rook, I suppose. So just look at it from above. Make sure you got your spacings right. Cool, looks fine. And oh no, it's smaller than a pawn. I'm going to make it bigger. Actually, I'm going to make the actual pawn smaller, and the knight a bit bigger. Now the knight's probably the hardest to do, so let's just concentrate on this guy for a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some extra spheres to him. On there. And I don't know, another one kind of here, and another one kind of here. And I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller, so it looks a bit more like a horse. Okay, so that's just a general, very, very loosey-goosey, sort of like horsey, but it'll work for now. Alright, so I'm going to go into sculpting. Alright. There's not that much to do, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure when I'm sculpting I have the X on. And whatever I do on one side, it'll do on the other. And it shouldn't take too long until we get something that looks like a stylized horse. Okay, make some nostrils, and that's not bad. I'm going to increase my radius now a bit, so I'm changing a larger portion of it together in one go. I like this tool, but it's not exactly subtle. And then the smaller the radius, obviously, the more pointy your effect will be. If you want to make, if you want to make really pointy ears, and then you can use other tools in changing the radius or changing the strength and other things to really make something that looks quite cool quite quickly. Now I'm nearly happy with that. Maybe a little bit more ears. It's got kind of ears. It's got kind of nostrils. That'll be fine for me. Now you can spend a long time improving this by changing your radius and your strength and the tool, and a lot of other things. But you also need to know when to stop, if you know what I mean. Sometimes you can get something that's looking pretty good, and I think it's more important to know when to just like call it a day and just say, okay, I think that's looking okay. But some of them have got a positive and negative, and what that means is, see how that's kind of pushing it down? That's okay, but you just got to be careful with the radius. So yeah, high strength, small radius is like a knife. Okay, it's looking okay. That'll do for me for now. You could make it look better if you wanted to, of course. Some people certainly have. Oh, don't know what I'm doing here. Oh, I was trying to make a bit of a main. I don't know if that's working or not. Oh yeah, it's alright. There we go. It's a stylized horse. That's fine. Cool. So I'm going to go out of sculpt mode now. Now I'm going to look. So I've got 6 pieces now. Don't I? Yes. So I've got a king, I've got a queen, I've got a rook, I've got a pawn, I've got a bishop, and I've got a horsey. I mean a knight. Now what I suggest you do with all of them is go into Object and Fade Smooth. And they'll look just a little bit better if that's the kind of look you want to go for. Right, so there they are. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, before I do anything, I'm going to give them weight and go into physics, go rigid body, convex is fine, and I'd make them 0.1. Rigid body, 0.1. All right, cool. And make your chessboard rigid body passive. And you can just press play and everything should fall. Brilliant. So now they've all got weight, I'm going to position them where they should be. So the pawn is going to go there, and I need 2 of those guys. And I'm going to copy those 2 to make 4, and I'm going to copy these ones to make another 4. And I'm going to duplicate 1 and just leave it over here. And I'll tell you why later. What is that? Oh, that's the rook. That's going to go here, 1 here, and this guy's going to go here. The bishop is going to go here, here, and here. Queen is going to go here. I'm going to go here. King's going to go there. Oh, sorry, the bishop goes next to royalty, doesn't it? And the horse, the king. I mean the knight. We'll go here. Facing the wrong way, but never mind. I might turn this guy around. 180. There we go. Who's facing the right way? 180. And now let's just have a close inspection. Now I put the rook upside down because I did something wrong with the modeling, but let's just see if they fall. Oh, everything falls. What did I do there? That should be passive. Let's try that again. Ooh, everything stays just right. Now it's a bit of a wobble. That's fine. Ooh, the queen's really wobbling. Let's see where her center of mass is. Oh no, that seems to be okay. No, I just think that it's more to do with her being too high up. And I think the bishop could come down a bit as well. So let's play and see if they land. Oh, they topple. Now what's happening there? I think that the bishops are too small. I mean too big, I should say. And if I just look at them like that, yeah, they're just a little bit in the space there. And the king's got to be a bit smaller as well. Yeah, and the queen's got to be a bit smaller as well. Alright, let's play it again, see if everyone lands okay. Beautiful. Okay, cool. All right, now it's time to make the other team. Now, they've fallen through, but that's because this is going to be the black team. So I'm going to go over to here, and I'm going to go into here, and just go black. Black. At least we've all got white. There we go. All right, now let's position the black team. So the royalty is going to go over here. That's too big. Bishop's too big. Never mind. These facing the right way. And we got our rooks. And finally the pawn. So pawn one's going to go here now. That's going to go there. Choose two of them. Duplicate to get 4. Select all 4 of them and duplicate to get 8. Oh, this guy's coming off the board. Here we go. Now, black team's too high up, so let's move them down. Oh, hang on a second. Have I? Oh, no. That's wrong. I need one of these guys. Copy the wrong type. And let's see if they fall and they land. Oh, so there we go. Everything is landing. Everything is looking good. Now it's time to add the chain. Right, that's looking good. Right. So let's just go over to here for a second and make ourselves a torus. Let's look directly down on the torus. There we go. So here's what we have to do. Now, that's when you really need to follow the instructions in order to get the desired result. You go into edit mode, and we go into X-ray mode. Select half of the torus. Okay? Ooh, that's not exactly half. There we go. That's exactly half of the torus. And you go E, not that direction, but... No, don't want to do that, sorry. E, Y. Oh no, X. There we go. Cool. So that's quite a long chain. And we can go out of edit mode. We don't need to go into edit mode again. Now you notice this little center orange dot, that's its center of mass. It doesn't have to have any mass, but if it did, it wouldn't be in its middle. So we go to Object, Fit Origin, Geometry Origin. There we go. And now it's in the middle. Now let's give it some weight. It's rigid, it's active, but we don't want it to be that heavy. 0.2 or 0.3 even, fine. And the shape we need to change from convex to mesh. And let's just see if it falls. It does. Okay, cool. So it's real and it falls and it's got weight. Now, what we're going to do is look at from above with 7 and we're going to duplicate them and we're going to move it off to the side. Now, we can't have 2 chains in the same place at the same time. Otherwise, they explode. But what you can do is look down it by pressing 3 and go R90. Now they're not pressing. Now they're not pressing onto each other. And just check that they fall. And they do. Brilliant. Okay, back to the beginning. Now look from above again. Select both of them by pressing Shift and go Shift E until you get 4 of them. Select the other 2 until you get, oops, I didn't do that. Right, and then that one and this one and that one by pressing Shift and Shift D. And you've got 8 of them now. I'm going to make quite a short chain and just check if that falls, and it does. Brilliant. Now, one of these chains I'm going to change from instead for active, I'm going to change to passive. Let's see what happens now. It swings. Oh, it worked. And at the end of this, I'm going to do the demolition ball, which will cause the chaos we want. This is going to be rigid body. Yeah, 1 kg, and it has to be mesh as well, and it has to join itself that last chain. Control J. Let's see if this works. Bang, it certainly does. Okay, cool. Now, what we want to do, let's go back in the timeline and see how far that swings. So it swings one square up, doesn't it? So basically what we want to do is move this whole thing up by one square measure. Easy. Up to this one. Let's see if it's smashing at the right. Cool, and it's just a little bit too low, so just to bring it up a bit more. Perfect. Okay, cool. Now we're going to move it into position. I'm going to move it across here, and then just a slight angle, and that's great. And then I'm going to duplicate this guy, and I'm going to have another one coming in from about this angle, and I'm going to duplicate one last time, across like this. Now that should be pretty good. Let's have a look at how this looks. Okay, cool. It smashes stuff. I think if it was a little bit higher, all of them, it would actually create more chaos. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to choose all my chain balls. I'm going to DZ just a little bit, and I think that's going to cause even more destruction. Let's check. Yeah, it does. Okay, cool. All right, last step now. I'm just adding some light. And then I'm going to set up the camera. So the camera view at present is that, which is terrible. Let's see where that camera is. Where is that camera? Click on the camera. No, it's there. Rotate that camera. Let's see what it says. Okay, so that's an interesting view. It's okay. I think it's good to go back a little bit more. Let's see what it says now. That's an interesting view. Okay. It's probably, if anything, a little bit overlit, but let's make it more kind of here. Cool. All right, so that's a good starting point. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to animate the camera. So in this little view here, I'm going to start here. I'm going to say this location at time frame 1, and this rotation at time frame 1 is where I want it to be. I'm going to set it playing. I'm going to stop it there. I'm going to move it somewhere else now. I'm going to move it maybe over here and change its rotation. Let's see what it sees now. Well, that's quite a cool view. And then I might just move it a little bit so it sees a bit more of the white. There. So at frame 1 it does this. So I'm going to go to click, 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 click. Keep playing it through. Now at that point of impact, I'm going to move it once again. I'm going to move it along here so it really looks down the line. And concentrate on that smash right there. Okay, click, 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 click. Keep playing it. Let's see what else happens. All right, at this stage I'm going to move it somewhere else. Bring it around to here maybe. Oh, that's a bad view, but maybe more of this would be interesting. There we go. And cool. and then keep playing. Maybe I'll do one more position because things kind of calm down after that stage. So I might do something a bit more interesting. Just at frame 250, or maybe just a bit before that, so it stays still. Maybe 230. Get that camera, move it around to here, rotate it into here. There we go, that's a cool last shot. And click, 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 click. I put a lot of lights in. I think maybe I could probably do without some of them. Let's see if that looks a bit better. That looks a bit better. Anything status, I might keep that one. That's not doing anything. All right, so I'm kind of happy with that. So let's just play it all the way through twice from the point of view of the camera. Smash. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the camera. I'm just going to bring out the view just a little bit because I can just see more going on if I decrease the focal length a little bit. There we go, that's a bit more interesting. And that's all there is to it. So after you're happy with your work, you're going to go File, Save As, give it a good name on your desktop or in a folder for Digi, and attach an email to me, and then you finish the assignment.